So in this video, I'm going to be analysing Alejandro Garnacho's goal against Manchester City, and it's not just because of his own individual brilliance in the goal, but mainly it's because I really like the movement from Rashford and McTominay, despite them not even touching the ball in this move. And I'm going to be explaining how their movements work in tandem with Bruno Fernandes, playing as essentially what is a false 9. And if you watch the whole video, I think you'll come to the same conclusion as me, that Marcus Rashford is significantly better when he's playing alongside a centre forward like Xerxes or Bruno Fernandes, compared to when he's playing alongside Rasmus Højlund. But let's get straight into it, and I'll start with the build up to the goal. United regain possession in their own half, with Toby Collier putting in a tackle, and from here Pellistri shows what he can offer from that right back position, which is his ball carrying and his dribbling, as he's able to drive out of pressure, evading Savinho. However, this is where he has to improve, as his pass forward isn't great, and he is rather fortunate that the pass deflects into Bruno Fernandes' path. But this is where we can see the impact of using Bruno Fernandes as a false 9, as well as how the likes of Rashford, Garnacho, Mount and McTominay, from a tactical and stylistic point of view, all suit playing alongside a more withdrawn centre forward dropping off from the forward line, rather than someone who's going to be looking to make runs directly ahead and break in behind the back line. But why is this exactly? Well, let's go back and rewind to when Pellistri is running with the ball. Here you can see that McTominay is sitting in the space that City's midfield has vacated as they look to push forward on the attack, sitting ahead of a deeper double pivot of Collier and Casemiro. And as the play goes on, you can now see Bruno Fernandes' deeper movement, moving towards the ball, rather than looking to make a run in behind the centre-backs as you would imagine Højlund would try to do. And in just a second, you're going to be able to see why exactly Bruno Fernandes' movement suits Rashford. But before I come on to that, if you want to pick up any of the new season jerseys, go over to Jersey FIFA. You can also pick up their retro, international or club jerseys as well. Use code Atlantis at checkout for a discount. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which I will leave linked in the description. And even though he doesn't touch the ball in this move, I think we can definitely see how this type of movement suits Rashford a lot more. And overall, I think he's able to get into much better goal scoring positions when he's playing alongside a centre forward like Xerxes or Bruno Fernandes compared with Højlund, and that's because the intention of Højlund's movement primarily is to get himself into goal scoring positions. Whereas Xerxes and Bruno Fernandes' deeper movement isn't to get themselves into goal scoring positions, but open up a passing lane for them to be able to link the attack, and then when they receive the ball, create as Bruno Fernandes did. Rashford needs to play alongside someone centrally who's going to be able to drag an opposition centre back out of the back line, opening up space for him to move into. And whilst it's not exactly what happens here, as the City centre backs don't push out with Bruno Fernandes initially when he drops off, Rashford is still able to take up a centre forward position as United move the ball into the final third, which obviously is a lot more optimal for scoring goals than if he had held a wide position on the outside of the fullback. But it was his positioning later on in the move which does have me excited about what Rashford could do this season. However, it is dependent on whether he can return to how clinical he was a year and a half ago, as I think his actual movement to get into goal scoring positions is very good and actually massively underrated. It's just his end finish which seems to be letting him down. So here as Bruno Fernandes receives possession about 5 to 7 yards in front of the City back line, you can see the effect of Bruno Fernandes' movement deep, and how the pattern of play feels a lot more balanced and fluid than if Højlund had been used in Fernandes' position. And this is something I have been wondering, are United a better team without either Højlund or Xerxes in the starting 11? I would say no, but in some specific cases I'd say yes, and in a separate video which I will release if you are interested, I'll tell you what those scenarios are, and why from a tactical perspective Fernandes as a false 9 could make a lot of sense for Ten Hag. But sticking with the analysis, I think all three of McTominay, Rashford and Garnacho, and even Mason Mount when he's playing, are all better suited to playing behind a centre forward who drops off into deeper positions, and I think it's fairly obvious why. I think all four could be categorised as runners rather than creators. Both Mason Mount and McTominay specialise in their out of possession work, be in the lungs of the midfield, and in possession, just as McTominay does here, they can provide the forward runs to drag players away from players with the ball, with Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo being the creators of the midfield. Both Rashford and Garnacho are far more effective when they're running in behind the back line and receiving the ball there, compared to receiving the ball between the lines in front of the opposition's midfield line. However, really and truly, it's Fernandes' quality which really makes this goal, as almost like a corkscrew he drops deep before releasing force ahead of him in the form of Rashford, Garnacho and McTominay. And you can see the chaos this surging attack caused City as they were completely outnumbered at the back, because of how quickly United were able to attack, or should I say how quickly Bruno Fernandes was able to link the attack. Here Garnacho and McTominay now have a 2v1 on the right side against Ruben Diaz, and whilst eventually Garnacho does score, initially it seems like he misses the wrong pass when he ignores the underlapping run of McTominay, because it was a clear-cut side rule pass down the side of Diaz, and Rashford in the centre, kind of like a marathon runner, has positioned himself on the outside of the pack, ready to make his move once McTominay gets slotted in, and if McTominay can then find a low cross across the 6-yard box, Rashford would have a tap-in. But Garnacho not only ignores McTominay's run, but also takes advantage of it as McTominay's run ahead of Diaz drags Josko Guardiola deeper, vacating that area for Garnacho to then cut inside into, and I actually think if this was the start of last season, we would see Garnacho lose composure in this situation and try to release a left-footed shot at this point when he's being crowded out by Diaz and Guardiola. However, now he has the composure and the confidence to take the extra touch, not only moving the ball out of the line of the two City players trying to block the shot, but also moving the ball out of his feet from where he can then release a left-footed strike into the bottom corner, giving United the lead. So let me know if you agree with my analysis of this goal, and whether Rashford and Garnacho do work better with a false 9 like Fernandes, rather than a striker like Højlund. And also, if you want some more content, you can go subscribe to my Patreon. Just $2 a month, you can get a 7-day free trial, you get 2 newsletters each week, and I also offer other services on Patreon, so you can check those out as well.